So, there's this question that I want to ask you. What if one day you wake up and your genders change?
You crazy, man.
But no, on a real note, you went to bed yesterday, and then you woke up this morning a different gender. What would be your reaction?
Where did you get that shit?
Yes, people. Bap. Chitty ching bing bing bing. Yeah.
Well, go on. I hope you guys good.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you again on today's podcast.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting topic to talk about, and it's worth to listen. And if you have any input, anything to add up, you can leave in the comment section.
Yeah.
And we appreciate your view or your perspective of what we're going to talk about. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. The last time, there was this person who asked me a question.
Right.
Yeah, it's more about relationship.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about, it's something we can talk about and get people views, insight about this.
Fairs.
Because I don't have the experience to actually relate totally to it, but I did see people live, in such a situation. So the person was asking me, why do so many people, especially relationships, break down or have a kind of struggle after having children? Yeah, you get it.
That's a big topic, and you know what? I don't hear a lot of people talk about it though. Like, it's in the pipeline, it's there, but
we don't talk about it. It's not. I think it's a sensitive topic. Something really, really sensitive, very deep. When you ask anybody, it could take the person a lot of time to
give you a reply.
Feedback or their point of view on that.
Yeah.
Because I personally believe there are so many things that goes into that.
That's true.
And it is true. People struggle relationship-wise, especially when children start coming into the picture.
Yeah,
That's very true.
Yeah, you know what? Like, everything would be nice. It's like you're walking on sunshine, and then the child is here, and then, boy,
just imagine.
It's a lot to talk about.
It's a lot to talk about. Yeah. But to get it clear, to get the picture clearer, it's good to wind back to when you guys or the couple start their relationship. The vibe, how everything was before children start coming into the picture. Yeah. When you first meet your partner or your crush, it feels like you're in heaven on earth. I'm telling you. It feels good. You feel like you're gonna live like that forever. But when reality start hitting,
then when reality hits, that's when you know if the relationship is genuine, or if it's just
something partial.
Yeah.
People develop feelings. At the end of the day, we humans, you develop feelings, but once reality starts setting in, that's what's going to judge whether you're fit to carry on with the relationship or not. You get it?
Yeah. And without the child, as you said, everything goes well. And then when the child gets here, then everything starts to unleash itself. Like, that's when you realize if you and the person if you guys are a team, or if one of us is selfish.
Yeah.
And that could make or break a relationship.
It's easy to bring a lot of confusion.
Oh.
Because I think it's a moment, especially when children start coming to the picture. It's a very big moment for both couple.
Yeah, it's big. It's big.
To reflect on their character, to bring what is actually inside them out. If the other person doesn't have patience to even actually look after a child or do the bare minimum thing to that child, for instance, bathing the child, preparing the child, changing what was it called, pampers and stuff like
Pampers, yeah.
Imagine that's when you're gonna find out whether your partner is fit for the job or.
And that's true. That's true because for instance, let's say the mom is on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Right. You had your paternity leave and then you're back to work.
Yeah.
And I think maternity leave is like almost it's a year in the UK for ladies.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not really sure.
I think it's a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I think no matter what, especially if you start with your first child, you could still manage it.
Yeah, but then I wait. So let me say yes. I understand what you're saying, but then the husband is back to work, and then you're home with the child. So obviously, you've been breastfeeding, you've been keeping the house tidy, trying to get something to eat, trying to in between naps, because some children they are very
stubborn.
They're stubborn, and when they're at that small age, they look for comfort, so they always want their mom. And then your husband coming home, and then he's not pulling the weight, then you're gonna get stressed, and then that's gonna cause confusion because the husband is coming home. He's had a hard day at work, so he's like, okay, he just wanna come home and just relax, but then. You can't do that. Like even though people might say have their views on it, but I just feel like
when you look at it, it's like if we did ask a lady or a woman this question, they're gonna have different view about it compared to men.
Yeah.
So imagine me being a man, with in a relationship, and then start having children, and I'm most of the time away at work.
Yeah.
Having a busy day.
And some days at work can be very hard, Yeah.
It can be, depending on the kind of job you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's say your wife is not in a position to get back to work yet.
Exactly.
And she spends most of her time
with the
child.
Yeah.
Doing the hard work. Even though you as the provider doing the main job, trying to provide.
And to add to that, it's not that we are saying whatever the man is doing is not hard as well.
Not hard as well.
But then I just feel it would be unfair to the mother.
It's gonna sound like that. They're gonna think they're doing most of the job. I know it's not easy to look after children. Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy. And we both have kids, so we have the understanding.
Yeah. It's not that easy to. But then what I believe can help in situations like that, when stress start to kick in and then arguments start coming up, you just came back from work and you didn't even ask me how my day was. The child is crying. You didn't even want to pick your child to give me a little bit of rest.
That's true, yeah.
Women, if they're feeling it, they're gonna talk about it. As for men, we try to deal with stuff like that, but she's gonna start talking, and then if you don't have the patience, you're gonna talk back, and then arguments start. Argument, fire, war. Who's gonna listen to the other person? That's when relationship. I would say that's the beginning of the breakdown of such kind of.
And that's in a situation like that. I just believe, like, obviously when you come home, I just feel the first thing you should do when you get home, whether if you don't want to go to your child right away because obviously you've been if you're not driving, or if you don't want to pick him or her up in your work clothes, then you can probably go freshen up, change, and then come back.
Then spend time.
Spend time at least.
Then
Like take the child and let the mom get some rest or something like that. If she's cooking and the child is there and him or her is making nice, you take that child and do what you need to do. But if you're just gonna come home and then ignore them because you had a stressful day, bro. Yeah, it could be hard at times.
It could be.
It could
result into anything.
But like that is where you need to put communication to practice. Like that's when communication should be at 100, and you should have like a system.
System in what way?
A system like, okay.
Like a simple example.
Like what I just said. Like you come home, you freshen up, you take the child, give the mom some time to catch herself, and then if she has dinner prepared already, you eat, you ask her how was her day, you guys chat, and then
you take it from there.
But if you're just gonna come home and just because you're tired and you're just gonna do your own thing, I just feel that it's selfish. Because
it can sound selfish.
It can sound selfish, but I think it is. I think it is. And the reason why I say that, because you have to think about it. It's three of you guys now, or whatever, could be twins or male or
let's
female.
say your first family.
Child, your first family. And you can't be selfish. You have to think about your wife and your children or child before you think about yourself, and that's something a man has to do.
That's the sad reality of being a man.
That's the sad reality of it. Like
that's very true. You've got to think about them first before thinking about yourself. It's good, but it's not good. That's the sad reality of it.
But with that's where communication, and that's why I said there needs to be a system in place. Like you guys need to chat. I feel like you should have a chat with your spouse or girlfriend to say, okay,
your spouse, your whatever, your baby mama,
mama.
You both need to compromise. You know, if nobody is ready to compromise, so you can come as a team together and work things out, it's always going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
There won't be that communication, that fair, trade of, doing things together.
Yeah. And I think you have to be compatible with that person as well to able to understand and work things out, because obviously a mom that is breastfeeding and doing back and forward, whatever, her emotions are gonna be up and down. It's gonna be fluctuating. So
definitely.
you as the man have to know how to handle the situation. And that's where I think you have to be compatible with that person, because you can't fight fire with fire. That is gonna be a never ending thing. Like I'm telling you, like
that's very true.
You have to be compatible with that person. So if your wife is let's say she's the one to talk out and get angry, or let's say that's because she's emotional right now.
Yeah.
Because of she just had a baby and what's done. You as the husband have to take things calm and just try to. Well, I mean, I'm just talking the way I see how it should be. Like everyone would have a different way of dealing with stuff, but I just feel that's a good way of dealing with things, because fighting fire with fire, it doesn't work.
It won't yield nothing positive.
And then you don't wanna be feeding your child on that negative energy, because children, I realize growing up and seeing my baby cousins is whatever they see is what they're gonna do, and you feeding your child that negative energy and behaving with that, and that child is seeing that and absorbing it, because remember at that age, wherever, if they're 1, 2 or 3, their minds are like a sponge, so they're just gonna do everything that they see their parents do.
Of course.
So if you guys are arguing and talking loud, he's gonna be doing the same thing.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah, To add to that, here is this story, typical example of what we're talking about happening with this couple. There was a man back in Nigeria.
Yeah.
He's called John, and had a wife called Amara, and they both have been in relationship for 5 good years.
Okay.
And everything was smooth. It was full of laughter. They travel, they have good chemistry, and they did, everything they could enjoy as couple. When you start afresh,
Yeah.
it feels like heaven on earth. I
Oh
say
yeah,
that.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Their first child arrived, but suddenly Amara started feeling she was doing everything. Like, for instance, feeding, doing the night shifts, emotional support, housework, doing all kind of things. And John, on the other hand, meanwhile, Joe was still expected the same affection, intimacy they shared at the beginning of their relationship.
Right.
That's when problems start coming up. Because the way you guys used to, vibe at the start, it shifts, it totally drops, especially when the responsibilities start coming to set in. And then either the man or the woman will start needing that same affection how it was.
Right.
But if none or one party is not getting it, that's when problem is going to start.
And are you finished?
No, go ahead. I would
with
add
that,
up to that.
I think that is where emotional intelligence comes in.
It's very important.
And having emotional intelligence is very, very important, because if you don't have that, like in a situation like that, he's looking for love and affection. Bro, I'm telling you, when you see when a woman is been with a child for the whole day, and he or she's been nagging her, and what's that? The last thing on her mind is sex.
Of course.
The last thing on her mind is sex.
Definitely, the man is going to request for that natural obligation. And, the woman is going to start, I'm tired.
Yeah, they're going to be tired. But sadly, some men feel like women should just, because they're the breadwinners, But I mean, bro.
It's very true. In situation like that, when the arguments start coming up, either the man, resentment start going to build up. Either the man will feel like unappreciated, and the woman, on the other hand, will feel like unsupported. It's like the man is not really, really there to support.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the man is going to feel like, at the end of the day, they're choosing the child over me. You get it.
But what would you say? What would you think come first? So there's the child and there's husband and wife. Who would you put first? Your child or your spouse?
Have you ever seen the family tree before? Do you have a family tree?
Everyone has a family tree.
What's your family tree structured like? Yeah, I'll point you to a family tree, because on the family tree, the most important person comes first. He's the boss. He's the Solomon of the family.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, bro, this is 2025.
I understand.
Like, things change. Things are changing.
Of course, things change. But decision making should be dependent on what is happening.
Yeah, but do you think, okay,
like the circumstance need to reflect the kind of decision you make? That's me.
Yeah, but do you think a man only should make decisions, or?
But when it comes to decision making, absolutely, it shouldn't be one party.
Okay.
If you are a team,
fair.
You both bring your views. Everyone is allowed to, for his own view.
And then come to a conclusion.
Come to a conclusion, find an action plan, and execute it.
Fair.
Other than that, there's nothing like, I'm the man. You could be the man. If the woman understand your position in the family, she can still accord you that, level of responsibility as the man. But in decision making, it's really important. Yeah. You both bring your views and then find one that works for you both, and then work with it.
But sadly, it doesn't go that way for every relationship. But that's a good point. That's a very good point. And as I said previously, communication is key. I've learned that from a very very young age. Like you need to know how to communicate with your spouse, your boyfriend or
Your
girlfriend, or
significant figure,
your
or whoever.
significant other. You need to know how to communicate, bro. But sadly, most men don't like to communicate because some women, let me say some women, when a man open up to them, they throw back things in their face.
It,
But that,
it a lot goes into that. It's mostly based on the kind of partner, the kind of person you're living with,
Yeah.
or you have in your life. If you know your partner is, despite the attitude and everything, you decide to compromise and still live with that person. If it doesn't cause any trouble, challenge to you,
yeah,
and you fair to be able to manage it, I think you can live with it.
yeah,
But if when it gets to a stage where when you the man you try to open up to your partner and he uses that against you, man, you've got to think twice.
Yeah, yeah,
and then
that-
start doing you.
but that's bad, you know.
And
That's
it
it's
breaks
bad.
it breaks relationship.
Yeah, it does.
It breaks things down.
It does.
You know?
It does.
It doesn't help.
But I genuinely feel like if you're talking to someone, if they're doing something like that, I think you would know. They would know. I think like they would start showing you signs like they're the type of persons to throw things in your face.
Yeah.
They would probably do it with one of their friends or family members. So like I'm talking in general, like when you're looking for the other half, if you have intentions of getting married, you have to look for all these type of things as well. Because bro, imagine being with someone you can't go and talk to.
It's
Doesn't
very
make
difficult.
sense.
It does make
It
sense.
doesn't make
That's
sense.
very true.
Why?
That's
Yeah, it
very
doesn't
true.
make sense. Me personally, I don't care whatever men want to say, but when I am married and I need to know that I can come to my wife when I'm feeling down.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah.
She should be the
She should
first
be-
person to,
yeah, to-
discuss matters with.
Exactly.
Because you're working like a team now. And if that partner cannot stand the kind of truth or things you try to discuss with her, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, and even in general, like woman as well, like man, like in general, like if you can have a whole like, simple conversation or what's not, then making as we go back to what we were the topic, making a baby, it's gonna be chaos.
It's gonna be chaos.
It's gonna be chaos,
bring
bro.
all kind of characters out. Yeah.
It's gonna be chaos, and
Yeah. There's gonna be.
I always say like the most important things in a relationship is number one, communication. Because you need to know how to communicate and you need to have emotional intelligence. You can't lack emotional intelligence. You need to have that on lock. You need to have great sex. That is very important. That would make or break a relationship, you know. And mentally, basically all monies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be more of compromise. I always say it's more of when you get into a relationship, expect everything.
Yeah, like especially when you said compromising, that's one thing you have to do. People enter in relationships with the same habits, like the same things they would have done as a single person, and that is when they're being selfish. And if you're with someone and then they're still acting like they're single, they're still moving selfish, if they lack emotional intelligence, then I don't see the purpose of you even being with that person as well. And then, it's rough, bro.
Yeah. Honestly, to summarize it, it's more of having children doesn't actually ruin a relationship. That's my personal view.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's
But
more. It reveals the foundation.
Yeah.
It
reveals
everything. The foundation where the relation was built on. Because if the foundation isn't really solid, you haven't come to a deeper understanding of what lies ahead before you enter that kind of relationship. You know, it's going to crack down when the pressure comes because the foundation wasn't, built really
That's
solid to sustain it. And when you look at it, when real love is involved, like both parties will be willing to work together to grow together, instead of just surviving. But the moment that one or other party is not ready to face reality and then evolve beyond it, that's where it becomes a problem, a real problem.
But do you think that going to bed with your other half, if you like going to bed with them vexed or angry, do you think you should allow your spouse to go to bed angry with you?
Well, to be honest, managing anger is something. It's not easy, and it depends on each individual, and wherever you find yourself with, I would say. But to me, I believe you need space when things are really heated up and nobody's ready to listen, to have a proper conversation, to understand the dynamics, what's actually not going well, to talk about things. You've got to give space.
Yeah, space. I feel like space.
Give it time.
Yeah, space is needed.
Give it time.
Space is needed.
But don't let it be there for long. As for me, when things are so complicated and then confused and I can't find a clear way forward, I just try to pause.
Yeah.
Pause. Take time, step back, and then observe everything. Think. Relax. Try to get your mind off it. It's difficult to do. It's not easy. But then it helps you to restructure your thoughts very well in a better way.
Yeah.
And then handle the situation much more maturely. Because imagine if you have a partner who's very quick at talking over back when something happened, and you are the same type as her.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna
What's
work.
gonna happen?
It's not gonna work. That you and that person are not compatible. It's not gonna work.
It's gonna turn into a fight.
Yeah. And I believe that most of the times that is what cause abuse as well. Because
it can lead to anywhere.
Yeah.
It can lead to anywhere.
Yeah, like me personally, just walk away. Like don't if you're with someone that, if whether a man or woman, and they're the type of person to lash out and stuff, you just need walk away. That's the best thing you can do. Walk away. Because if you don't, then you end up doing something that you probably might regret or feel bad about.
Of course.
And something I always like, I've seen it on TV, like I don't know how a man can hit a woman and then look to have sex with that woman. Like, that's a low small thing, bro. Like,
Yeah.
You're not gonna them not gonna shame. How you gonna do that? Like, you hit your woman and then still looking for sex from that woman.
That's a fucking total abuse.
Yeah, like, bro.
It's like you using the person for your own selfishness or your own benefit. I believe if you're an adult, you call yourself an adult, and if you want to be seen or get that kind of respect, you've got to perform your role.
Yeah.
You've got to show that leadership, that maturity, to calm things down when things are heated up.
Yeah.
Have full control. And until then, you won't solve nothing with, talking back to each other.
I feel like someone feel like if they hit a woman, they're in control. That's how they stay in control.
It depends. It depends. I would say anger can lead to so many things.
Yeah.
That's why
it's never good to make decisions
when you're angry.
When you're angry,
just step aside.
Yeah.
Take time. Go sleep. Don't go drink.
Walk away.
Walk away. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do, but don't go fuck your life up in the name of, argument.
For a couple of hours of stupidness, and then you regret your whole life.
The whole life.
Yeah.
No. My parents have been saying something. Before you were born, there were problems. So you're gonna die, there are still gonna be problems.
Of course.
And other people gonna come meet problems. Problem is meant to be there in our life. It brings to me every negative thing that happens is a balance.
Yeah. To add to that, I think problem solves a purpose. Because you know what? It makes you wiser.
You learn.
So if there was never a problem, then what would have become of humanity?
So it's more of balance.
Yeah, it's a balance.
There need to be challenges sometimes, and there needs to be opportunity, good times also sometimes for us humans to, observe and know what's actually what we're doing. Are we doing it right? Are we making progress? Are we making change? Are we evolving? Are we learning?
It's a way of life, bro. It's a way of life.
It's meant to be there, but how you handle it and cope with it relies on you. It's something. It's not given. Nobody's born, genius. Nobody's born knowing everything. But you have to get through it, squeeze yourself to learn to become better. So that's it.
You know something? I was scrolling through TikTok and I was listening to this lady that was talking. I think she's a counselor, like a marriage counselor, and she was saying that she was speaking to this couple. They were on the verge of divorcing.
Yeah.
And she was saying that sometimes the lady wants to give her husband sex, but sometimes the guy does things that make her feel like he is her son. At first, when I heard it, I was like, what? But then, after I carried on listening to it, I realized that the simple stuff that he was supposed to do as a man, he wasn't doing it. Like, he wasn't carrying the trash out. He would freaking, like, obviously, the two of them were walking. And she was saying that at one point, he was supposed to get the children's stuff ready for school because the two of them were hustling. But he didn't want to be late, so he didn't do it, and he left, and he didn't even carry the gash out.
Wow.
So she ended up being late. So she was calling him now and asking why you live such and such, and I got late for work. And then he was saying, "Oh, I didn't want to be late, so I just left it for you to do." And I think that is very childish.
It's very rude.
I think that is very childish and a bit of lack of
maturity.
Yeah, because why would you do that? Like,
it's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not fair. So like she was saying, like simple stuff like carrying the gash out, doing stuff. That's some of the stuff that you would be behind of your children or your child to do, and you expect them to do what they don't. So she was saying sometimes he makes her feel like that's us.
Yeah,
and to me that's a loose small thing, bro. Like gosh, like let me see, Lord, I'm using a term that no one might probably not know.
Yeah,
garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage, like gosh, is a military term. Garbage is
anything waste,
basically, bro. Like that is something.
Take waste out.
That's your wife shouldn't be even asking you to do that
before you do it. If you're man, if you're man, you know your responsibilities in a home. Nobody should ask you to tidy your environment up. You know when your environment, your surrounding is dirty, and you've got to clean it down. And you don't expect your wife or your partner to tell you off to do it before you do it. And even after telling you off several times, you still didn't do it. Well,
but I think
good luck to you.
I think like No, get me wrong. There are some women you have to like coach them as well. Like you have to micromanage them to
Of
do the
course.
same stuff as well. So I don't want any man to come at me and say like, oh, they're a woman like that as well. Yes, we know that, but we're not talking. We are talking about both right now.
Yeah.
So we're not singling out and we're not doing favorites or anything. But I'm just saying like,
yeah, it should be a teamwork. It should be mutual.
Team, yeah.
If I do it today and I'm not there to do it, if you see it, you know it's dirty, why not? You can quickly clean it down, take everything you need to take out.
I think that's a big thing as well, like micromanagement. Like you and your spouse in a household, and you still have to tell that person to do every single thing. It's like they don't have a mind of their own. They don't like they won't see this and say, okay, I need to take that out. Someone has to, their spouse has to come and say, you need to take that. And all these stuff, if at an early age you're experiencing these stuff with your partner, then I don't think that person is even ready to have a child.
Yeah, because having a child is gonna be
Well, like having a child, you have to be hands-on, especially when they're at the stage where they're creeping and they're starting to walk, bro.
You've got to be very focused and observant. If not, they can easily harm themselves.
Exactly.
As well. And it's a lot more of responsibilities. Yeah, it's.
But as I was going to say, I think it has to do with your upbringing.
Yeah, upbringing also plays a role.
A very big, like, out of 100, I think like 50% is your upbringing, 25% is your mind, and the other 25% is probably people talking in your ears and what they experience, and so you are trying to fit into their whatever.
Their scenario.
Yeah. That's what I feel. That's my opinion.
Yeah. It's, I would say there is no formula to life. That's what I tell myself. That's what I've observed. Because someone might do it this way, it would work for that person. But the second person might do it the same way, but might not work.
Yeah.
So you've got to find what works for you. But if you don't, you've got to try, fail, until you find what works for you. So you've got to, grind. You've got to push it. Yeah, because not everything your parents are going to teach you in this world to prepare you. And you'll never be ready in this life. Before you start anything, you've got to start. You need to find yourself in that situation or in that position or circumstance or environment, I would say. And then you're going to start baby step, day by day, start learning, failing. You keep moving until you become better at it. So I would say there is no straight formula.
No.
To living a life, especially having a family, start having family, children, how to look after children. It's something you have to figure it out. You figure it out naturally.
Something about that as well, like sometimes you get the feeling like, sometimes you feel like if something goes wrong with your child, like it doesn't have to be anything bad, but the littlest thing makes you feel like you're a failure or something like that. But every day you learn. And then, bro, no one is perfect. All you have to do is be the parent to the best of your ability. That's just it. And
just do what you can.
Teamwork is very, very, very important. And you know why I learned that? Living with my grandparents, I've learned a lot from them.
Yeah.
My grandfather would go out every morning to work, and he would never come back empty-handed. Like he did like work in the mountains as well to plant
you mean they've got like farm,
yeah.
Okay.
So
farmland, yeah. Okay.
I've never seen him come home empty-handed, and there's never a time my grandmother wanted something and she didn't get it. So That's why I said 50%. It's how your upbringing. It's the way you've seen your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your environment where you grew up from, it does affect you.
Yeah, and you know as well, like I've never seen, like, even if my grandparents had a misunderstanding, you would never see them caroling or like cursing openly. They would do it in their room, and then
Exactly.
the next morning they would be like nothing never happened.
That's a good example, man.
And even if the one might still be mad at one another, they're not gonna be spiting him, or she won't say, oh, she's not making breakfast for him today, or let him sleep in the couch or something. Some American thing I see where they say, oh, you gotta sleep in the couch or what's that. That I don't know. That's I don't believe in that. Like,
to be fair, it's more that has to do more of a cultural upbringing, values and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's something we should have taken from then in implementing in our now lives.
Yeah.
Because it's good.
It's good.
Especially if you're having argument or something serious to talk over with your partner. You don't do it openly before your children. As mature, intelligent people, go indoors, sit down, have a chat. Talk about it.
Yeah, even if
make peace from there.
Even if you're mad, bro, I'm telling, like, they would still have tension, but you won't see it.
You never see it.
Unless you've seen, or you went and do a ear speak and hear them speaking or what's not. Yeah. But like she never stopped doing his lunch, his dinner, or what's not, just because she's mad at him. And that's all these things where I said 50%. I think it has to do with your upbringing and how you seen your parents with their relationship. So yeah. But I'm telling you, like, if you know if you lack emotional intelligence and you're not gonna be a team player, leave the people them girl pick me. Leave the people them boy pick me, and stay single until you're dead to that. Sorry, I have to talk in my dialect. Until you reach to that level of maturity, because
it's no rush. Life shouldn't be competition.
No rush.
Because people rushing into it, you should do it.
And you know, I've seen this trend where people are saying like, oh, you don't have any child as yet. Bro, like, leave people. If they're not, like, some people rush and go having children and they're not financially, emotionally, mentally, physically ready for a child.
Yeah.
So don't rush or try to peer pressure anyone into having a child. If they're not ready, leave them. If you want to have 5 and 6, 10 pick me and struggle to take care of them, that's on you. But don't try to force anyone just to have company. You get me? Yeah.
I've got a question for you to conclude this before we close it up. I've got a question for you. How many children would you like to have?
Well, as a general, football team.
You want football?
So, serious.
Is it to play for Chelsea, or Arsenal, or Manchester?
Probably the football team, Pompey.
Pompey football team.
Yeah, but
Pompey FC.
Yeah, but on a real, probably like 5 kids, five the most, 5, 7.
In this economy.
But I mean, that's just me saying it.
Yeah.
If God doesn't say that I'm gonna give Big G 5 kids, then I won't get it, innit? But we'll see how it goes.
You know, I was one time challenged by making that statement, because if I say God willing,
that means I want it.
No, if you say God willing, it means you're not sure. You put in everything on God. Say, if God allows it, you could have 5 children. If He doesn't allow it, you're not going to have 5 children. Well, it's true.
But me personally, me saying I want 5 children,
that's your free will.
That's my free will. But then I want to be I must be financially stable for that 5 children, because in this economy now,
it should be realistic,
Yeah.
It should be realistic,
I can afford about 2 children, 2, 3 children, but not 5. No. What about you? What about you?
To me, to be fair, having a child is so expensive.
Yeah.
It's more like you pay monthly subscription.
Nope. A big subscription.
Yeah, which you're not getting any return from it right away, but in the future.
Yeah. How much would you like?
I've always talked about having 5 children.
Yeah. I think that's a man thing.
I've always talked about it. That's an African thing, I would say.
That I think that's a common, like, let's say
African thing.
African Caribbean thing. Yeah.
We believe in having a lot.
Yeah. The more children you have,
to cheer you up when you are old.
Sometimes they say the more children you have, the more masculine you are. You're badge and your lick shots.
Of course. But then it all depends, as you said, budget. It needs to be realistic. It shouldn't be just because of having children.
Yeah. And then that's where communication comes into play with your spouse as well. Because if your spouse doesn't want 5 children, then you're not getting it,
It's true. It's
and I don't. True. Yeah, you shouldn't force anyone to do what they don't want to do. Because forcing a lady to have more children that she didn't want, and then she allows it, then you know what she can do if that happens?
Leave you with the children?
No, she won't. That's one reason, but then she could probably, what's the word?
Sue you?
No, not sue. Okay, so it's like she would take it out on you, but there's a specific word I wanted to use. So she would have you in her mind for that. I'm telling you.
No, she'll be in hope. Okay, because she said it and we have it, you take care of it. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
We wrapping it up. It's been a pleasure. This been a sensitive topic, but we don't hear people talk about.
Yeah, it's not often. One thing. It's not a topic that we hear a lot, but it's in the pipeline.
It is. And
so what we did, we just turned the faucet on.
Yeah, it will be really, really helpful if you can put your views in the comment section. You have something you want to say, add up to what we just said, share your story, or anything you think that would be valuable to this topic. What we have said, just drop in the comment section. It will be very helpful to us, to anybody who's watching, to learn from it, because we're here at the end of the day to share insight, to learn from one another.
Yeah, we're never too big to learn.
Yeah.
And we are now available on Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and then the big boy YouTube. So
he always call it the big boy. I mean, what the fuck? Why would you call YouTube the big boy? You're the big G.
So there's the big G and there's the
big U.
The big U, YouTube.
The big G and the big U.
Yeah. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And
we appreciate. Share with your friends, your families. Add your insight. Your input is very, very important. Nobody's too old to learn. So keep learning, keep evolving, keep moving forward.
Yep.
Cheers. Peace.
Yeah.